Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
Brittany Cartwright, Dani Bowman, Rosie O'Donnell, and more stars are speaking out against Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s comments on autism. The Health and Human Services Secretary is facing backlash for his comments on autism that he made on April 16th during a press conference where he claimed, quote, autism destroys families, and called the disorder an epidemic, among other things. Now, Hollywood stars are speaking out against the politician, including Love on the Spectrum star Dani Bowman, who told News Nation on April 20th that she was, quote, disgusted with his comments, adding, autistic people have the same hopes, dreams, and yes, the same awkward dating moments as anyone else. To generalize and say none of us can work, date, or contribute to society is completely false. I have a job, I do pay taxes, I've dated, I have a master's degree. The Valley star Brittany Cartwright recently revealed her 4-year-old son Cruz has autism and also spoke out in the latest episode of her podcast.
The things that were said that upset me, like saying that, what was the word that he used? Demolishes families?
No, destroys.
Destroys, yeah. He said that autism destroys families, and, you know, he listed a bunch of things that kids with autism or people on the spectrum in general cannot do. And that really upset me because the autism spectrum is so broad. Yes, there are some people on the spectrum that
who won't be able to do a lot of those things, or all of them.
Yeah, and that is very true, but that is not everybody. And I feel like whenever somebody's looking at somebody that's such a huge public figure, it almost like takes us like 10 steps back. You know what I mean? And I just kind of was upset with that aspect of it because, you know, Peete is who I saw it on, and she has a son with autism, and me and her have been talking in DMs, and we're going to connect, and I really think I can learn a lot from her because her son, I think, is 27 now, and so she's been going through this for like 25 years, and she's been an amazing positive advocate for autism, and I saw it on her story, and I loved that she said,
it's not a disease, it's a developmental disorder.
Exactly. I love that she said that. And I also love that she said, if you're going to speak from us, learn from us. And I thought that was amazing. She was like, come to therapies, come to nonprofits, come to the living rooms of people's homes and like actually get to know what it's like living with autism or people in your family, or speak to people that are adults that are living with autism, you know, and I thought that was like super important.
Actress and autism advocate Holly Robinson Peete, who has a 27-year-old son with autism, also slammed RFK Jr.'s comments in her interview with MSNBC.
I just cannot believe that he said the things that he said. I cannot believe that in 2025, we're still relitigating the possibilities for people who are on the spectrum. It's amazing the language that he uses. It sounds to me, Michelle, like he's never sat down with a family and never even had a conversation with anybody who has autism or who loves someone with autism. It just is mind-blowing. The dangerous, negative rhetoric that he put forward. I had a never day in 2000 when I sat next to my husband and a pediatrician who told us all these things our son would never do. And he was only 3 years old. And it was devastating. He would never speak, say, I love you. He would never play team sports. He would never have meaningful employment, friends, all the things. And if I had just curled up in a ball and, you know, just given into those nevers, I don't know who RJ would be today. But this is dangerous language and we cannot have it. Autism is a spectrum disorder, so everybody's going to have a different journey. Not everyone's going to have the type of outcome that RJ had, but he's such a special I almost said kid, but he's 27. He's so amazing. He's so pure. He's so lovely. And when he got this job working for the Los Angeles Dodgers 9 years ago, it changed his life. It gave him purpose and dignity and a paycheck, and it helped him self-advocate. And these are the things that we hope for our people with autism, that they will be valuable people in society. He never had any friends growing up. Now he's got a whole clubhouse full of friends. These Dodgers have embraced him.
Rosie O'Donnell also spoke out against the politician, writing in part in a lengthy statement on Instagram, quote, "Robert Kennedy is so grossly uninformed about autism it boggles the mind. The fact that he is the current HHS," adding, "His blatantly cruel misinformation is reason enough to fire him. If he had any decency, he would resign immediately. He is a disgrace to his family's legacy." She then spoke about her 12-year-old child, Clay, who has autism, writing, quote, "My child Clay O'Donnell has not destroyed my family. She added overwhelming joy, taught us all patience and compassion. She has written poems, gone on dates, uses the bathroom unassisted, and baseball bores her to death." All of this comes days after RFK Jr. said in a presser that children diagnosed with autism are, quote, "suffering," claiming they will never work and called the disorder a, quote, "preventable disease."
Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
RFK Jr. later cleared up some of his comments on April 18th during his appearance on Fox News.
Let me say this. There are many kids with autism who are doing well. They're holding down jobs, they're getting paychecks, they're living independently. But I was specifically referring to that 25%, the group that is nonverbal.
That was clear. You were not ambiguous on that. You were clear.
Right. And you know the larger point is that the media has bought into this industry canard, this mythology, that we're just seeing more autism because we're noticing it more, we're better at recognizing it, or there's been changing diagnostic criteria. There is study after study in the scientific literature going back decades that says that that's not true.
RFK Jr.'s press conference came one day after the Center for Disease Control and Prevention released a report that found in 2022, 1 in 31 kids in the U.S. were diagnosed with autism before their 8th birthday. This is up from the report released in 2000, which found that 1 in 150 kids were diagnosed. However, pediatricians and other health experts have said the increase is largely due to greater awareness and better surveillance of the disorder. During the press conference, RFK Jr. also dismissed some findings in the CDC report and said his agency will announce a series of studies to identify, quote, what the environmental toxins are that are causing autism. However, the CDC says autism is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain, with some people having a genetic condition, while for others, the causes are not known.